Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem HaKadosh. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of GMS, for the true leaders of Israel today, and salutations to all of the Akim who do this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedoms to do so, as well as the scattered Israelites who come looking like the heathen but are not, by way of their forefathers' seeds who are Israelite men. The true name of the Most High is Yahweh, and his son's name is Yahushai, and the Lord's holy chosen people are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as we're the ones who suffer under the curses in the book of Deuteronomy. My name is Yakalia, and I am from the GMS Jamaica Kingston camp, and this video is about the two nations, the Israelites and the Edomites. Alright, and the scriptures show who these two nations are, and for me, clearly identifies which group of people belong to those two nations at present time. Okay, because there's a lot of confusion out there. For example, the number one confusion out there, or one of, is that these so-called white people are the Lord's holy chosen people, but they're not. They are liars, and their true biblical nationality is that they're the Edomites. But the scriptures do show that the Edomites would deceive the world, all right, and would let the people around the world be deceived into believing that they are as such, all right, because that's the role of Esau Edom. So right now we're in a period of great deception, okay, by that nation of the Edomites as they currently rule today. So let's just jump into some scriptures. This is Genesis chapter 25 and verse 23. And the Lord Yahweh said unto her, two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. All right, so the one people that is talking about that will be stronger than the other are the Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, the sons of Jacob. Jacob's name was turned to Israel, okay? And the elder shall serve the younger, right? The elder being Esau. And we're going to see that as we continue reading. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over like an hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. So yeah, Esau came out red. When you look at these so-called white people, man, they are red, they're not white. White is another part of their deception that they pushed. And when you look at the etymology for white, which means pure and all things like it, and then the etymology for black, which is all things negative, you can see the deception there that they pushed on the world, again, on our people, placing our people to be viewed as a certain type of people, which is dark and negative and all things that come, but to put themselves highly above. Okay, that's a part of the deception that they've pushed. But they are in fact red, and when Edomite babies, so-called white babies are born, you can see it, man. They come out red, whatever. Just turn on your local local news, CNN, MSNBC, whatever else. Look at the news reporters. They usually wear actual white shirts. Their complexion is red. Okay, and after that came his brother out. So after Esau came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob, right? And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. Okay, so you have Esau and Jacob, and it said two different nations, right? Now this is symbolic overall, because in the book of Revelation chapter 20 it talks about that the devil shall be loosed out of prison for some period of time, and he shall be loosed for a little season. And the devil is referring to Esau Edom, the great deceivers. They're also referred to as Satan, because they are the adversary. Adversary to who? The Israelites. And they're the adversary towards Yahweh Shem Shai. Okay, so they have different names, right? And this moment right here, when Jacob held onto Esau's heel, is because Jacob would pull Esau out of power. All right, and that's going to be done by way of Yahushua when he returns to deliver the elect of the nation of Israel. All right, and then in the book of Second Esdras, chapter 9 and verse 7, it says, wait, hold up, is it 9 and 6 or is it 7 and 6? 1 second. Second Esdras chapter 6 and verse 7. Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times, or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? The end of the first. Remember the firstborn, which is Esau. And he said unto him, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So Esau is the end of the world. The word world here is referring to aeon, which is age. All right. So we're currently in the age of the rulership of the Edomites. All right. They also ruled during the Greek Empire and the Roman Empire. Right. So this is Esau's third time ruling. Okay. But this rulership is their their strongest rulership. Right. And in the book of Daniel, chapter 4, and verse 17, it says, this matter is by the decree of the watchers, and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will. So the Most High does as the Most High pleases. All right, there are no questions to be asked about that. Okay? And setteth up over it the basis of men. So the Most High gave a kingdom to the basis of men. Who are the basis of men? The Edomites, these so-called white people. All right, look at the world today. All right, so let's look at the word base real quick. Let's Google base, because it lets you identify who is who. All right, actions speak very loudly. Actually, I have to look at basest. All right. So when you look at basis from Google, it will say basest, base, without moral principles, ignoble. All right. Similar, improper, bad, wicked, evil, immoral, sinful, and all of these words, degenerate, debased, etc., etc., etc. So the basis of men are ruling, and the basis of men have these traits upon them. Now look at the Edomites that are ruling. It's clear to see that the so-called white man is ruling. I mean, it is their language that dominates, their currency that dominates, their way of life that dominates the rest of the nations. I mean, you can go to all places around the world, even out here in Jamaica, is very Americanized, right? And then, of course, America's Mystery Babylon the Great, right? But then you have these other first world countries that are Edomite-led countries in the EU, okay? And so you have the architecture that is built like their architecture. You can go to places like South Korea, China, right? It is Edomite-dominated architecture, etc. You know, it's just obvious that they're ruling. I mean, anyone that can't see that, I mean, the Most High hath blinded them. But these are the ways that they have. Now, when you look at the ways that they push, right? You read the scriptures, and you can see what is lawful and what is correct and what is right. What are the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Shem Shai? When you look at the world today and what is being pushed, those ways are not being pushed. That's clear to see. When you look at, you know, and you can't even mention some of these things, but the ways that of life that people are allowed to live, okay, those things are against the scriptures. It's clear to see, and they push that. They push that in their own main places, such as America, the UK, etc. And then they start to branch out those ideologies onto the rest of the heathen nations, man. Okay, the Ishmaelites, who are the so-called Arabs, I remember watching a video one time, and they were complaining that all of a sudden their women are becoming out of control because now they're going to college and they're getting a so-called education, and then they're wearing extremely revealing clothes and they're getting tattoos and all these kinds of things, man. It has destroyed these other nations as well. But this is what Esau Edom does. All right. He's a harbinger of death. Right. And so it clearly identifies the Edomites, the so-called white people as such, man. All right. In the book of, to further drive the point home, let's go to the book of Hebrews. All right. Because it says it in Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 16, lest there be any fornicator, or profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. Right. That's going back to the book of Genesis. Okay. So profane person, once again, when you go into that, the Greek word is bebelos. And when you go down, unhallowed, which is unholy, of men ungodly. Right? They are ungodly men, which means that they are against the ways of Yahweh Shimei Shai. All right? And it's clear to see with the deeds of these so-called white people, man. It's so clear to see. All right? Which means that they're not the Lord's holy chosen people as they portray themselves to be, right? In the book of Psalms, chapter 73, it also says, let's go to verse 9. They set their mouth against the heavens, and their tongue walketh through the earth. They set their mouth against the heavens, which means that they are against the heavens, which means that they are against the ways of Yahweh Shimei Shai. Once again, look at the things that they do and look at what they push. It has nothing to do with the scriptures, man. Nothing at all, because they're against the ways of the heavens. And then, of course, in the book of Job, chapter 9 and verse 24, it says, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, wherein who is he? So the faces of the judges have been covered, who are us, the Israelites, right? And that is a part of their deception once again, right? Making the world believe that we are nothing when we are the apple of the Most High's, the apple of the Most High's eyes. Okay? You know? And Esau Edom made, people really believe that we are nothing, but that is the identification, a part of the identification to showing who we are. All right, but let me just finish this. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. So once again, that Daniel 4 verse 17, rulership was given unto Esau, the book of Revelation chapter 20, for a little season. So that season is coming to an end. And so it's coming to our time of rulership, the Israelites, which will be ruled by the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Shimei Shai, the ways that are good and righteous. All right, so now the identifier for us, the Israelites, well, plain and straight to the point, man, the curses identify us, right? The curses in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28. And I mean, it's the whole bunch of them, but I mean, this one right here, and verse 68, and the Lord Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, into captivity, into bondage again, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Right? So we're sold into slavery once again. All right? This is a part of the curses upon the Israelites, the Lord's holy chosen people. All right? And we're still bondmen and bondwomen to this day. All right? And no man shall buy us, because it is not a man that will redeem us. It is Yahweh Shai. All right? That will be the one to redeem us out of this captivity. Okay? And speaking of captivity, because we can really go into all of these different curses, and it clearly identifies who we are. For example, even this one right here in verse 64, and the Lord Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people. Our people are scattered to the four corners of the earth. All right? Being looked down upon. All right? There's no really, well, let me hold on to that. But from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. And once again, we're scattered to all these nations, and then we're worshiping all kinds of things that are not Yahweh Shemishai. That's a curse upon us, man. All right. And many others that are here, you can go ahead and you can read them. All right. But as I was talking about the captivity in the book of Deuteronomy, no, not Deuteronomy. What am I saying? The book of Baruch. Is it chapter 2 and verse 30? Now, this is identification. All right. For I knew that they would not hear me because it is a stiff-necked people. But in the land okay, Deuteronomy chapter 2 verse 29. If you will not hear my voice, surely this very great multitude shall be turned into a small number among the nations where I will scatter them. So once again, scatter them, the Israelites scattered. For I knew that they would not hear me because it is a stiff-necked people, a trait among our people. Okay. But in the land of their captivities, they shall remember themselves in the land of their captivities. And this is exactly what has been happening for the past few decades. In our captivity, in the lands of our captivities, we are remembering ourselves. I am literal proof and an example of this very same precept. I have woken up in the land of my captivity and I have remembered myself by way of Yahweh Shemishai. Okay? And shall know that I am the Lord their power, for I will give them an heart and ears to hear, and they shall praise me in the land of their captivity and think upon my name. Once again, I am living proof. The brothers are living proof. The brothers across the four corners of the earth are living proof. We are living proof of this very same prophecy. This prophecy does not relate to the so-called white man, to those that claim that they're the Lord's holy chosen people. Why? Because they claim that they know who they are because they always knew who they are, right? So they don't match with this prophecy. And return from their stiff neck and from their wicked deeds, for they shall remember the way of their fathers which sinned before the Lord, right? Which means that we will repent. Okay? And I will bring them again into the land which I promised with an oath unto their fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and they shall be lords of it, and I will increase them, and they shall not be diminished. And I will make an everlasting covenant with them to be their power, and they shall be my people, and I will no more drive my people of Israel out of the land that I have given them, right? And when you look at what's going on over there in Israel today, and in that area, those people are constantly being they're constantly being tried to be pushed out by the heathen surrounding them. All right, there is constant tension over there. Okay, in the book of I didn't want this to go too long, but this is the spirit. In the book of, is it Isaiah, that lets you know, man. Is it 2:1? Yes, this is Isaiah chapter 2. And verse 1, the word that Isaiah the son of Amos saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem, it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's, Yahweh's house, shall be established in the top of the mountains and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow onto it. Are all nations flowing onto those people over there in the land today that claim that they're the Lord's holy chosen people? No. And many people shall go and say, come ye, and let us go to the mountain of the Lord Yahweh, to the house of the power of Jacob, and he will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of the Lord Yahweh from Jerusalem. These people over there in the land have to force the heathen nations to go onto them. They have to force their ways onto the other people, because these other nations, man, they know deep down inside who and what these people are and their ways. But the thing is that they're in power, right? And these Edomites, they rule, as their blessing says in the book of Genesis, with the sword. All right? And that's how they make these other nations fear them. And he shall judge among the nations and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. And since these Edomites, these so-called white people, have been in power, there have been wars, and there has been tension around the world. And the biggest war is yet to come, which is World War III, which is on its way, which is further proof that these people are not the Lord's holy chosen people. All right, but we are, as is identified truly just by the curses that have been put upon us, that we obviously suffer from. So anyway, with that, I'd like to say all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Shemishai, Bashim Kodesh, Wa Abad Babal, Shalom.